Hi, I'm Roxy. Welcome back to my channel, Broadway Breakdown. And today I want to talk about upcoming Tony nominations. Yes, it's about that time again. The official season has closed for the 23-24 season. The Tony nomination committee has been assembled. And so let's talk about it. Let's break it down. This year, there were a lot of musicals that opened since last year. And I found it really interesting that we've sort of had a glut of this movie musical adaptation. They've taken a lot from very popular movies and turned them into musicals. There were some, obviously, that were not movie adaptations, like How to Dance in Ohio and Harmony. They did not fare well. They closed really early. I think they got some decent reviews, but they closed early. There was Once Upon a One More Time, which was the Britney Spears jukebox musical. That has already closed. But now we've kind of come down to a lot of movie musicals that I think are going to be the main contenders for Tony nominations. Back to the Future is still running. That opened last year. And that did get like mixed reviews. But now we have like Water for Elephants, and we have The Great Gatsby. We have The Notebook. We have Days of Wine and Roses and The Outsiders. Now, some of these I have read reviews for what I could on some of them. Water for Elephants from the New York Times got amazing reviews. They said it was beauty under the big top. They said the characters were very compelling and they just loved this show. Days of Wine and Roses, they absolutely loved. They said Kelly O'Hara and Brian Darcy were just stunning in their performances, and just the whole show was gripping. It's a very depressing show, but they loved it. It has closed, and I don't know if it was just for a limited run, but it certainly wasn't for lack of it being a good show. I couldn't find reviews for The Great Gatsby except for when it ran at the Paper Mill Playhouse before it came to Broadway, and the reviews were mixed. I don't know if they've tweaked stuff, if they've changed it, but I'm not sure about The Great Gatsby. The Notebook, New York Times was, I would say, less than impressed. It said it was a very bland musical, a bit sagging in parts. They said they liked the movie much better, but that was just the New York Times. And The Outsiders, I believe, has just eked under the deadline for the Tony nominations. It's in previews right now, so it has yet to be officially reviewed. So we'll see. I mean, there is a lot of, good stuff out there, obviously, for Tony nominations and good performances being turned in. This is nothing new, that there's a lot of movie musical adaptations. I mean, there's always been big movies that have been turned into musicals. I think it's kind of ebbed and flowed. Sometimes we get this glut of very popular movies being turned into musicals. I think for a while it was really happening when we were getting like Big and Pretty Woman and Mrs. Doubtfire and Tootsie and Saturday Night Fever and Rocky and Footloose and Ghost. I mean, just these really, really sort of iconic, pop culture movies being turned into musicals. And then it kind of goes away, and then they kind of start cropping up again, like Mean Girls and Bring It On and Moulin Rouge. And sometimes they really work. Like Moulin Rouge won Best Musical the year it opened. And then sometimes they really don't, like New York, New York or Almost Famous. So I think it just depends. I think it depends on what people remember from the movie, what they get from the movie, the chemistry in the movie, the cinematography. It's sort of what the movie conjures up for people. I know recently or last year when The Devil Wears Prada had an out-of-town trial in Chicago, it did not go well. They couldn't get the wardrobe right, which if you're going to do The Devil Wears Prada, the wardrobe needs to be there. They wanted Elton John to rewrite some of the music. Beth Levy, who played the Miranda Priestley role, they said, like, it was just too much of a comparison between Meryl Streep and her, and she just wasn't quite living up to that icy Miranda Priestley, Meryl Streep sort of. Those are some big Prada shoes to fill, needless to say. So I think they're retweaking it. They're trying to still get it on Broadway. So it's sometimes hard depending on, you know, elements. That's what I'm saying. I know after Ryan Gosling did his phenomenal, oh my gosh, phenomenal performance on the Oscars of I'm Just Ken, people were all over social media saying, when is Barbie going to be a Broadway musical? Again, that's one of those that's just so hard to follow. That, I mean, Margot Robbie and Ryan Gosling's chemistry in Barbie was so great, and his performance, that if you would try to turn that into a Broadway musical, you're not going to get Ryan Gosling, you're not going to get Margot Robbie, you're just not going to get that whole cast assembled, and you know, everything you loved about Barbie the musical, you're not going to quite get that on stage. So I don't know if it would be a good musical. I know they're bringing La La Land. They're trying to get that onto Broadway. Again, I don't know if that would be good on stage. It was obviously, I liked the music from it. I liked La La Land, but you're not going to have Emma Stone and Ryan Gosling and that chemistry together. So I don't know how that would fare, but we'll see. We'll see. Let me know in the comments below what you think of these Broadway musicals that, you know, come from really popular movies, and if you like them, if you don't, what you think about it. Anyway, don't forget to click and subscribe, and I'll see you in my next.